Hello, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. So tonight we will have Alena. She's an alumni from our school. She will be interviewed by Ruslan and Marjorie Berchi. She's the program director. We'll let everyone talk.
Thank you very much, Najes, and good evening, everybody behind the screen. Hope you're fine. I'm super happy to welcome Alena Verevkina, so alumna 2019 of the Master in Marketing, and Ruslan. Hi, Ruslan, a current student from the Master in Marketing. So technically, Ruslan will be the interviewer tonight. And I think we have, it's time to give it's your turn, Ruslan, to start the interview with Alena. Thank you so much for participating. And of course, for the audience, you will have time at the end to send or to write your questions as well. And Ruslan, the stage is yours. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Najes, also for organizing this. Alena, we'll start here. So as the professor said, you're an alumnus from Masters in Marketing from 2019. First question I would ask to you would be, why did you choose IUM for your master degree?
Hi. So I chose IUM, I think, mostly because it's quite famous in luxury field, and that's the field that I wanted to work in. And actually, the year when I was doing my master's, it was the first year, I believe, when the Masters in Luxury Marketing was created. So, and that was really interesting for me because I was also interested in marketing because of its creative side as well as technical. And I thought combining these was a great idea. So that's why.
What were your expectations when you've been studying at IUM?
I would say, again, good insights into the luxury companies in particular, but also marketing, of course. And I think what was really important to me is that since it's quite a small community, that the education was very personal, I would say. And I was expecting to learn a lot about real case studies and companies that, and I have to say, it did meet the expectations.
You started your career in the yachting industry, and then you went into digital marketing industry at Relevance. Can you explain your career path?
Yeah, so I actually worked in a yachting company before the master's. So that's when I was thinking that a yachting career might actually interest me, but then I worked in there for a bit and I realized that it's actually not for me. So that's why after my master's, I already knew that I wanted to work in marketing, and I ended up doing an internship first in an agency where I'm at now. And so I stayed and I stay with them since. So I wasn't particularly sure that I wanted to work in digital, but that's basically what I'm doing now. So I would say that that's more like a coincidence. But marketing, yeah, that was planned.
Can you explain us your current job?
So when I started, I was a digital account executive. And I think that's also important that I explain quickly about that because we will later talk about the market in general. So, and an account executive is someone who works together with an account manager. An account manager is like your front man who works with the client and then delegates the tasks to the specialist team. So when you have a client and they have, let's say, on their contract, they have social media and they have paid advertisement and they have content creation, an account manager is the person who talks to the client, who does the strategy and figures out what exactly the client wants to do, where they want to do their PR, etc. So basically a 360 kind of approach. And the digital executive, account executive does the same thing, but let's just say manager has more sort of decision power. And then I moved into project management, and now I project manage design and website projects. And I did that mostly because of I would say, my personality, because I prefer to finish one project and then go on to another, whereas account management is something that is basically never ending. And it can get a little bit boring, but obviously it depends on the person. Like for me, that wasn't working. And so currently what I'm doing is I am project managing everything from the brief stage to the go live stage if it's a website. And we do mostly luxury, like boutique websites, but we do a lot of yachting websites, and we do a lot of, we start to do more e-commerce websites these days. And I do also design projects. So we do branding, mostly visual branding, but we can also do some more, let's say, marketing related activities with the branding. But again, here is, I'm not personally obviously coding anything or designing, but I'm project managing people who are doing that.
So going from project management, what are your future professional goals?
I would say to have maybe to manage a bigger team, and I think this is actually where we are going right now as an agency. So I would say that's actually one of the advantages of working in an agency that's sort of growing with you, because when I started, we were much smaller than what we are now. So I would say professionally, yes, that's one of the goals. And trying, I guess, new things like in terms of design and development, because we always, each year something new comes out and you have to adapt.
Something very interesting about you is that you started a master's in psychology. Can you tell us why?
I'm doing that now, yeah. I'm doing that because I want to know more about how people behave. So I would say this is a very complementary sort of degree to marketing, and I definitely recommend that people who are interested to do that, maybe not necessarily to get a diploma, but to learn more and like read more about that, because it's something that's really interesting. Like there are some aspects of this field like neuropsychology, where you learn more about how your brain works, and you learn a lot about how people like why they react to advertising in certain ways. So that's it's very interesting when it comes to marketing and how you market and how you define people's needs and why their needs, and how in your brain you actually decide which need you will go for, because you can have several needs at the same time, but you decide to go with one and not another. So I think it's very complementary. Also, it's good for managers to learn psychology, because you have to do a lot of communication, internal and external, which is less pleasant, and you have to know how to deal with people.
Now that we are more familiar with you, we'll go to the second part of our interview, the digital marketing before and after COVID-19. So the first question would be, how has COVID-19 shifted the digital marketing?
So I'm going to talk obviously from my experience and what we've experienced in the company, because I cannot speak for the whole industry. But we definitely get a lot more inquiries for websites, because a lot of businesses realize that their websites are not good enough in terms of UX, and they're not selling enough online, and they really wanted to jump on the opportunity, because obviously during COVID-19 the online sales grew, everything is online. Definitely we're seeing people investing more. So what was interesting is that at first people really panicked and they cut all their investments, and they wanted to invest less, especially because we work a lot with yachting companies, for example, and no one knew what's going to happen. Like, are they going to charter? Are we going to be able to travel? So everyone like cut down on their expenses, and then quickly realized that wasn't a great idea. And then they've actually, most of them, except for I think one hotel that we're working with, most of them doubled the budget and wanted to stay to enforce their online presence. So I think like the main thing that I want to say is that people realize the importance of digital marketing, especially in the luxury industry, because people in the luxury industry have always been very stubborn, and they didn't want to shift into online. I think it's getting better and better every year, but some luxury companies will tell you we don't want to sell online because we're too exclusive for that, and I think that's changing, definitely.
In this case, can we say that the pandemic or the lockdown was the major factor of emerging of the digital marketing?
I think people started to realize the importance of it a bit before, but definitely was a push.
Okay, in one of the reviews that has been published by Farrakhan, a United Kingdom communication agency, Jonathan Mangan, who is the Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer at global market research firm named Kantar, said that in 10 to 15 years, the idea of digital marketing will disappear. How would you comment on that affirmation?
I would say the idea here is that we won't be separating digital marketing from the other channels. So that's the idea of marketing being omni-channel, which is definitely true. I don't think that at the moment it's true, and a lot of people do actually see the difference between digital and non-digital, and we have some clients or prospects actually who they need us to prove to them why digital marketing is important for their business, especially if it's not something that you can sell online, and then that's when they start having doubts. But I think surely in the next 10, 15 years, there is a possibility that we're going to look at the marketing activities as a whole. So not just channel by channel, because the way people make decisions is very, it's a long process, like the user journey. You can see something on social media and then read about it in a magazine or something, and then it can all influence your decision. So it does make sense.
Another question, what is the size of the digital marketing industry today in terms of revenue?
Well, it's a hard question to answer. I think even the statistics you can find online is, first of all, not for every country, and second of all, is it's hard to define what exactly you would consider digital revenue, digital marketing revenue. Again, because you can even, like, in different companies, people look at this differently. So in some companies, they say if the first way the user interacts with a company, with a website, with the company through the website or through another like digital channel, then this is a digital sale. And then in other companies, they will say actually when it is the last interaction, and in some companies they will just look at some sort of average. So it's a difficult question to ask, but to answer. But what I can say is that we have seen a 170% increase in value of the deals that we have in the pipeline right now. So I don't know how useful that information is for you, but I spoke to the sales team this morning just to have like some insights on that. And I think that it's quite an impressive increase.
A little bit earlier, you pointed out the fact that there are some companies who don't want to sell online because they are too exclusive. Is it always profitable for a company to switch to digital marketing?
I don't think that there is a total switch. I think it is always complementary to other channels. So, for example, I don't think that you will be able to sell a private jet on a website. Like, no one's gonna buy, let's say, off a credit card, but it's a good complementary, like finding these people, targeting their PAs, bringing them to the website, showing a very impressive design to them, like things like that, something catchy that can bring you a client. And then there is a very big role that the people who work at this company, of course, play in this, because it's the same thing for the yacht. You know, the sales, you will not buy a yacht from a website, but we work a lot with yachting companies. We can definitely say that it's profitable, and we do generate lots of leads, but then it's up to the company to work with these people who we bring to them and figure out who can potentially have the budget and who is interested and things like that. So of course it's well, my boss always says that his return on investment is 1 to 20. I don't know if that's an accurate calculation, but that's what he says.
From your point of view, what is the future of digital marketing?
I think I spoke again to the sales team, as I said, and they told me that recently they've seen people who proposed some really cool like AI ideas. So these companies who propose those ideas, they win a lot of tenders. So I think this is an interesting industry to think about. We don't do that here, not really. But there are agencies that focus a lot on artificial intelligence and like some really creative kind of 3D solutions and things. So I think that's something that people should pay attention to.
What advice can you give to a student who is seeking a future career in this particular field?
Well, speaking about digital marketing in general, I think, first of all, I would advise to make sure that you're good with numbers because there is a lot of data. And I would also make sure that students understand what exactly they want to do, because there are many different fields that you can work in digital marketing. And it's important that you understand whether you like social media, whether you like, maybe you like project managing, maybe you like PR. And if you like PR, do you understand the difference between the digital PR and the offline PR? Because this is very different. And do you understand, like, do you like SEO? So it really, I think it's important to learn a lot about all these different fields that are all part of this, the global digital marketing, and see what it is that you want to do.
What was your most challenging moment as a project manager at Relevance, and why?
I wouldn't like point out one moment, I would say, but I think that the most challenging is always the communication with clients, especially when it comes to changes. And this is something that we fight with a lot on a daily basis, because clients have the tendency to sign off something, then think about it for 2 weeks, and then come back to you and say that, listen, something we did 3 weeks ago, I think it should be red and not white. And you have to explain to them that if they want it now red, they have to pay more. This is that's I think this is the most challenging part. And I'm not really good at this part. I'm very Russian about it.
Since this COVID-19 crisis, do you believe that you are able to provide the best possible service to clients?
Well, again, like speaking of our clients, I think yes. Well, what we did and what we're doing, I think, is really showing, because our company managed to grow a lot during that period, and I think that's very important. And it's not just because we do digital, because of course we're not the only ones, but it's because we know what we're doing, and our clients are happy with the results, and we monitor more and more. So we actually make most of our clients now, I think all of them, we make them have a CRM system. We use HubSpot, but it can be anything else, that shows us where exactly the leads came from, because you can, of course, on Google Analytics and other like tools, you can see from which channel the lead arrived, but you don't actually see the lead. So, and in CRMs, like for example in HubSpot, you can follow the whole process. So you see where the person came, which pages they looked at, which forms they submitted, and then you can actually see if the deal happened or not. So, and we do that so that we can then say that, look at your results, 50%, let's say, of the people who you sold your services to this year came from our activities. And that's very important. And I think, yes, and we are actually doing that.
due to COVID restrictions, of course, have your channels changed for adaptation?
How do you mean, like, channels changed?
Before the COVID crisis starts, there were no restrictions. Now that there's a lot of restrictions, how did you adapt to these restrictions?
Okay, I see. I think most of the changes and adaptations came. It was like a conversation with the client, but again, this is something that was happening more on the digital marketing side of the agency rather than project management, like my side. Because for me, that didn't, like, the COVID really didn't change anything except that they had more work because everyone suddenly wanted the website, or they realized that they need a rebrand because they're the only way that clients would interact with the product was online, and online didn't look very great, and they couldn't come to the store and they couldn't speak to the person in real life. So that's what changed for me. And then and on the digital marketing side, of course, they had to change strategies for a lot of clients, but that was a mutual sort of communication. So they were speaking to each of our clients and see where they want to invest more, where they want to go. A lot of the clients, I believe, wanted to invest more into brand awareness and the picture, like the image of the company, because again, we work a lot with yachting and private jets and travels and hotels, and they couldn't offer anything during that period. I think now it's a bit easier, but during that period it was really uncertain. So the money went into brand awareness, into PR, into possibly social media and things like that.
Is it easier to interact with a client personally, physically, rather than online?
I think it really depends, but for me personally, it's easier to communicate online because it saves a lot of time. You don't have to go into meetings, there is no like small talks. I think I noticed this shift as well in the way people communicate. So they try to be a lot more structured on their emails, and they try to write as much as possible in an email, which is great, because before they were just saying, let's meet about it, and then you basically lose 3 hours to speak about something that could be fixed in 10 minutes. So yeah, for me, online definitely works, but that really depends on the field you work in. I think that for a lot of people that work, for example, in sales, will tell you that personal communication is more important, but for me, online is good.
Okay, thanks a lot. Any questions from the audience?
Jess, do you have, or maybe?
No, I don't have, but don't hesitate, guys. There is the Q&A tool, or you can raise your hand and we will let you ask your question directly.
I think we received some questions from the mail before, no?
Yeah, I have questions here from students. What do you love the most about your job?
Seeing the result, I think. So when you work on something for such a long time and then you finally launch it, or you do the brand book and then you look at it, that's the favorite. Like, it's basically like having a baby. I think I don't have a baby, but I imagine that's how
Did you always know where you wanted to work after your master's?
Would you mean which company? Which
company or which field?
I knew that I wanted to work in marketing. I knew that in Monaco there isn't many opportunities, and I knew that I wanted to stay in Monaco. Well, meaning I wanted to work in an agency, and there are many agencies in Monaco. I think in marketing there is an opportunity because not a lot of companies know how to do it well properly here. And I heard an ad on the radio, actually, funny enough, about the company where I'm at now, and that's when I decided that I want to go there. And yeah.
What do you love the most about your job?
I think the final result. I just mentioned that.
Okay. in your particular industry, what business skills are essential?
I think, well, for being a project manager and for the project that I'm doing, multitasking, I would say, is important because you have to work on different projects at the same time. You need to know how to work under pressure because timelines can be very challenging. And it's important to be creative, and not only design-wise, let's say creative, because it is part of my job as well to choose and to direct the creative people, but also creative when it comes to some problems, because for example, when you project manage developers and they cannot overcome some challenge that is very technical, you kind of need to place yourself in their shoes and try and help them, and guide them, because obviously you're not an expert in the area, but you can think about it and look at it from an outside of the box, and sometimes you manage to help them. So yeah, you have to be creative and adapt.
What is your outlook for the future of renewable energies?
Could you maybe define the question a bit more?
Okay, it's a question from the industry, but from the audience, but I'll try to rephrase it a little bit. Do you see a possible future of renewable industry in thanks to the digital marketing? Can both be implemented?
I mean, I'm not sure. I see a clear link here with the digital, but I think, well, if the question is more about how these energies are used, let's say let's talk about maybe luxury industries. I think the shift into this field is definitely something that can be supported. I think digital marketing is not limited to anything. You can use the channel to promote anything, whatever you want.
Another question: what is your best advice? The best advice you received at Relevance when you entered the company?
The best advice I received at Relevance was from my boss, and he basically said that we shouldn't waste our energy on anything that doesn't follow the 3F rules, which is if it's not fun, if it's not for fun, for fame, or for fortune, you shouldn't be doing it. And I think it's a good advice.
It's a very good advice. I have a question. It's from me actually. Give us 3 words that could define you the best.
Me, myself?
Yes.
Good question. Well, I would say I am very passionate, especially when it comes to defending my ideas. I would say I'd like to think that I'm very creative, so I'm going to say that. And I would say responsible.
I'm pretty sure that during your journey at IUM as a student, you had a lot of good memories. What is your best memory? What is the thing you remember the most?
I think, honestly, all the memories from the masters were great. Honestly, I'm not just saying that because Marjorie's here. We weren't many people. I don't know if that's changed. If now you guys are it's a big class, but we weren't so many, and I think it's really great because you get to know people better and you get to communicate with the professors more. It was great. Obviously the field trips were great, and I don't know again if this is something that you can do now with the COVID, and I think if you can, it's really, really sad. But that's also something from the student life that I remember. And I think the projects were really great as well, because when you get to work on an idea from A to Z, and then you present it and you have to defend it, I think that's great. And actually that really trains you to win pitches, which is also something that as an agency we do a lot. And even though I don't really like to be dragged into this because I'm really busy with other things, sometimes I end up helping because no one better than me like knows how much certain things are going to cost and stuff. So that's a really good preparation.
Okay, thank you. Another question we have here would be, what kind of profiles do you come across this industry? What kind of people do you meet? On
the client side or both?
Both of sides, clients, co-workers, colleagues.
Okay, I'm gonna be very honest with this. Maybe not very political, I don't know. Internally, I would say I personally either work with other managers. So you have the profile of a person who is like very results driven. I also personally work a lot with designers, creative people, content writers, developers, and these people really require a lot of guidance. So I don't know how to best describe the profile, but it's a lot of them are, let's say, you know, artists, and it's like working with with an artist, as I just said. So it's people who have great minds, and they are very creative and they can deliver great results, but you really need to spend a lot of time talking to them, sort of like babysitting them sometimes. So it's very, very challenging. In terms of clients, you have, well, I personally meet two types of clients. It's either clients who are extremely pleasant to work with and they understand everything and it's great. Either you work with clients who are very hard, like it's very, very hard to convince them, and it's hard to get like the changes approved. It's and basically the type of people who will not take a no for an answer, and they will try and, you know, push you. So yeah, I think for me that's the main kind of people that I interact with.
If you could change anything within your industry, what would that be?
I would say I would like to educate people more on what we do, because it's always easier to work with clients who know what we're talking about. And especially when I was in account management, that was also an issue, because when clients don't, for example, understand data that we show to them, there is no communication happening. So we have to educate them a lot, and it would be easier if like already they would approach us when they know the subject. We have clients like that, of course, but a lot of clients, they come to you and they expect you to do everything for them. And I always tell my clients, when it comes to websites, for example, that this is a teamwork. You cannot expect us to do everything for you. We cannot decide how your brand should look like. We cannot decide how your website should look like. We can't decide how your UX should be. We can advise you, but you have to take the decision. And this is where they get a bit frustrated and scared sometimes, when they have absolutely like no clue about how things should work. So I would like and educate people, especially when they start businesses, because we have a lot of prospects and even like some clients now who are startups, even though it's hard to imagine how they can afford this, but yes. And it's important that they're willing to create, for example, a proper brief, and they know what a brief is, and they know how they want things to work. So yeah, education.
Well, it's all for me. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for answering to our questions.
Thank you so much, Ruslan, for this exercise, because I know it's not so easy to be an interviewer. Thank you, Alena, to be extremely honest as usual. And I can say that,
I hope it's in a good
way.
way.
To the audience that and I don't say that because it's Alena, but I really appreciate, and she knows that she was student in bachelor already before the master, and she did the master with us. And what I appreciated a lot, and it's what we expect as well as academic, is to have sharp people, you know, and students who challenge the professors, not only just for challenging professors, but to really share and to have the best, you know, from the different courses, but also the projects they work on. And Alena was the perfect example, and I am pretty sure that's why she evolved very well in the, she changed the job as well at Relevance very quickly, and she's in charge, she's project manager already, because she's very sharp and very intelligent in the way she approaches the project and the thing. And I remember good discussion with Alena, and we really appreciate people who are not only who do not agree all the time with us, fortunately, and it's really super important. So thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned a very important point, just for the audience to know, that of course AI is a key trend in marketing, in the digital, and that's why we included this class AI applied to business since 2 years now. It was just after your cohort, Alena, and you know, because Alena is very engaged as well with us, and we organize regularly what we call every year a curriculum committee, you know, to adapt all the time the content. And for example, we implemented this year, thanks to the remark of Alena. Also, you mentioned the key element. I understand now why you do a master in psychology, because to deal with people is not so easy in the job, and especially when you are a manager. And we decided to, thanks to Alena and the decision we had during the curriculum committee, I asked the professor in the project management class to really focus on this aspect as well, because it's super important to prepare the students for that as well. And so, well, it's you explained the perfect, and you are the perfect example about that now in your job, that you deal with sometimes difficult people. So it's part of your job, and thank you for being so honest and to share your experience. Thank you, Ruslan, again, to be the interviewer, and thank you to all the audience. You were patient, and we spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
So
and thank you, Marjorie, for hosting us. And thank you, everyone. I wish you a very great evening. And if you have any question, you can write me an email for sure. Thank you.
Sure. Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.